Praggnanandhaa. They are squaring off. Maxime, the winner of the Rapid, and Praggnanandhaa, the winner of Game 1 here in the Blitz, while Maxime suffered defeat. So Pragg, he essays this bishop b4 check, queen to e7 defending that bishop. Tanya, I think in the opening choices are fascinating to think about from the players because you never know what to expect in Blitz.
And that's the fun of it, right? When you don't have enough time to counter a surprise in the opening, it might not get you a winning position, but it's cost your opponent those precious seconds on the clock.
Yes, and Maxime playing d4 on the first move. Maybe Pragg didn't even expect that because Maxime plays e4 very often. So players, they're changing up their repertoires for the quicker time control. This is early stages. Any other fascinating openings catching your eye?
We have seen Maxime really shift from his usual repertoire in this tournament. So that's been fun to watch his change of style. Let's take a tour around and go over to the Nordebek Arjun game. Again, a really fun opening as Black has on the board. Look at how that central e5 pawn is attacked and Pragg unstoppable on the queen side.
Look at Pragg go. He takes over Java with Black. He gets the Black piece's second game in a row. And look at the clocks, by the way. Praggnanandhaa has 2 minutes and 30 seconds. Maxime down to 120. And A takes B3 opens up the A file for the Black rooks. There's no attack for White against the Black king.
What White really wants to get is a good G5 in, but you have to spend one more move defending that G5 pawn. I don't think White has enough play with G5, F6. Too many sacrifices, too many pawns given up. But with Black focusing on the queen side, Maxime decides first to get a little bit of pressure off with the rook trade.
But trading the rooks means fewer attackers for White as well. You want to double your rooks on the G file if you're going to play G5. You only have one left. And Black can even consider moving his queen around at some moment. And then again, Pragg plays a precise bishop e8, second game in a row.
Ooh, bishop e8 is the one that sealed the deal in game 1 for Pragg, and he does it again. White needs to get G5 in, but there is a big threat that Pragg has set up, winning that B3 pawn.
He can win the B3 pawn. He can also bring his knight over towards the king side if he wants. But I like Maxime's decision. If you're going to vacate the A file, give it to me. There could be problems in the last rank.
He's looking for any counterplay that he can find, and this is what Maxime is so good at.
Is there rook takes d2? For a second game in a row, could there be a fork on the b3 square?
Picking up a pawn on the way, so you actually give up the exchange, you win it back with the extra interest.
But I'm going to show that very, very quickly. Rook takes d2 a moment ago, was available to Black. Queen takes d2, knight takes b3. It actually says it's equal, so Pragg is smarter than I am. The reason why is the knight gets trapped in the corner, so you get to steal the pawn. So great awareness by the players. Now Black's still in.
Just nothing at all. I've seen enough things to lose hope. And here I am still going. I am even stronger now. Evil is looking around you. And maybe I'm mistaken. You know I'm feeling right. Like something on my face, something in my veins. Still hurts. And don't know what it takes, don't know what it takes to move on.
Is on.
The tension is real, and I love the way that Pragg keeps playing queen b8. He might play queen b6 at the right moment. First knight d3, queen b6, and suddenly the white king is in some danger. The white king looks like it's by itself, and that's a problem for white because you need pieces to shield it.
And notice how White still hasn't got G5 in, which is exactly what Maxime is relying on, but with no pieces on the king side. That attack isn't going anywhere, but it is his only break in the position.
It is, but it could backfire because the white king isn't safe either. So if you open the position up, then the white king could be the one that's in more danger. So far, you don't see Pragg rushing the capture on b3. It's not worth it. It gives White a lot of play.
He had to.
And look at how passive White is now.
But he had to go for activity. Good or bad, you need to make the move G5. It doesn't matter what the eval bar says. It's your only practical chance in the position.
It seems that way, and Pragg can bring this knight into d3, hit the queen, maybe wrap the knight around to f4. I could see some mating nets starting to form around the white king. This looks very dangerous for MVL, who only has 29 seconds.
Under 30 seconds for MVL, and with just a 2-second increment, that's barely any time, and Black's knight is coming into that nice F4 post.
And this says it's a miss. I don't believe it's a miss. I think it's a hit because he's going knight f4, hitting the queen on g2, trying to distract it from the g5 square. This looks excellent for black.
The only chance that I'm seeing for white's queen is to try and play on the dark squares at some point. When that queen gets hit, come back to g1, start targeting the queen side. He's not going to trade that knight for the bishop. That knight had to jump on f4. White eyeing those dark squares on the queen side.
This knight is just winning Pragg the game. Rook h3 comes to mind to go for the h4 pawn. Also, pawn takes, knight h3, winning the g5 pawn. So this knight is just so powerful for Pragg.
Ooh, and that pawn takes pawn might just force white to actually recapture with the queen, but instead Pragg chooses to put pressure on white's second rank, defended now by the king.
And this king might keep going over to attack this rook to pester it. The rook does safely have the c3 square, but let's not forget about this a file, that if Pragg isn't careful, white can flip the script and go for an initiative.
And we know how many times the script has been flipped by Maxime Vachier-Lagrave. And look at that, the king continues to march over to more safety. Ignore the eval bar right now. I really like Maxime's approach in trying to hold this together. He needs to look for counterplay on the A line.
He's going for it, but black has opened up the king side. Knight f3, apparently that was a game-ending blunder. That probably means you can take the bishop and play bishop h5. The bishop that has done nothing all game will win it for Pragg.
And then he'll have to get the rook into the defense. He does it instantly. Rook f1 is the only way not to lose a piece. He gives a check first. But now there's no way to defend the knight.
None at all. He might go after the queen side. That's what he's going for. He's hoping for counterplay, but it cannot possibly be enough.
Wow, Pragg on fire, winning that first game and now on the brink of defeating the 2021 World Blitz champion.
Are there enough checks for white? Is this a huge threat? It does look like it. Should black backcheck? No, he gives a check and Maxime offers a queen trade. He probably would have made it if he didn't do it, but now just trade queens and win the ensuing endgame.
Just do it. That is the traditional chess wisdom. You're up material, you want to trade off as many pieces. Maxime's still trying to create chaos on the board, creating more weaknesses. If black was to take it, you want to exchange as many pawns as possible. He would have picked up the c7 pawn.
And that's why Pragg brought his king back. Now his king is close to this passer. It's not scary at all, and a resignation has occurred. Praggnanandhaa is at 2 out of 2.
Praggnanandhaa on fire, but let's quickly move over to the Arjun Aragasi versus Nordebek board as